Good morning, our viewers. Welcome to this new month of July 2022. Happy new month to all of you. 7 is the number of completion, 7 is the number of good tidings, and we are hoping that during this show, we are going to spread our good tidings to you, our viewer. Welcome to our show, The Legalese by Optiven 2022 edition. And with us during this discussion, we have 4 robust advocates in this country of Kenya, and 4 robust advocates have been hired by Optiven, and we are here to bring you the best of the best and nothing but the best. On my extreme left, I will start by introducing them, is Miss Nafula Masinde, very beautiful advocate, show them your smile. And also next to her, we have Mr. Washira Ion, the man with the bass.
Hello.
And next to him, we have the second, Miss Josephine Mbuvi. She's also an advocate, by the way. Agal Toto, say hi to the viewers.
Hello.
Well, thank you very much. And so today's discussion will be about the land acquisition process. I mean, for you as the buyer, I do not know what comes into mind when you think of buying property and the entire process you follow as you acquire your property up to the very end when you get your title deed into your hands. But do not worry, we shall take you through the entire process. We shall also try to address the challenges, the small nitty-gritties that take place during this land acquisition process. And we are hoping that by the end of this discussion, we shall be having clients who are well informed, a team that is well informed, and of course encourage you to come and invest with us at Optiven. So to kickstart today's show, we shall have a very, very vibrant discussion. And just a small disclaimer, this is not a show per se, this is not a show that is choreographed. This is just a discussion. So feel free to channel in your questions via the addresses on your screen. That is, you can send your messages to 0790 300 300, or you can even email us at legal@optiven.co.ke, and even post your comments on our website at www.optiven.co.ke. So we kickstart this discussion. Tunataka kununua shamba. Where do we start? Miss Nafula Masinde, Ian, and Josephine. Tunaanza wapi? What do you think is the first thing our viewers should do?
I think even before we start, we all know how to buy things. We've bought phones, we've bought laptops, we've bought cars. But there's one thing we usually confuse: purchasing land. We usually confuse purchasing land with all other processes. Of course, we have processes when you're purchasing your laptop or your mobile phone, or you're purchasing your shoes, your clothes. There are different processes where you just give out your money and you get your product. For land, it's very different. And I was very excited that we're having this discussion so that we can demystify this process and everyone can be brought to speed on what involves land purchase process in Kenya. So, Ms. Nafula, you can take it away.
Thank you very much, Ian. So maybe just to clarify, there are various ways of acquiring land in Kenya. But in this particular period, we're going to focus on the purchasing of land where we have a buyer and a seller. But just to mention in passing, the other methods of acquiring land in Kenya can include compulsory acquisition, which is mostly done in favor of the government. We have acquisition of land through succession, we have land allocation, and we also have land allotment. Perhaps I've forgotten anything, Josephine? So I think we've mentioned all
at least we can clarify that land grabbing is not a way of life.
Yes, do we have nomination in land acquisition?
Yes,
you can
we do have.
For instance, let's say you're purchasing property on behalf of someone else. Purchasing property on behalf of Ethel. I can nominate her once I'm through with paying the purchase price. You tell Optiven that I want Miss Ethel to be in a title document. So you nominate her name, including you send her title, her ID number, you send her ID, her KRA PIN, 3 passport photos, and you write to us, you tell us, now we want Ethel, or I want Ethel to be registered as the proprietor of this property and purchasing. So nomination is one of the ways of owning land.
Okay, thank you. And so I think we will start with the very first step of land acquisition. And the very first thing you do as a purchaser of land is investigate the title of that property, just to ensure that you are acquiring a good marketable title. So the first step is carrying out searches. Josephine?
So the first step, as she has said, is carrying out a search. So a search is just to ascertain who the true owner of this property is before you actually buy the property itself. So it is important to, first carry out a search. It's done at the lands office. Yes, you can do a search online, and you can do a search manually. So there are also, two types of searches. There's an official search and an unofficial search. So an official search is when you fill in the requisite documents and take them to the lands office. And it is important to note that an official search has a guarantee from the state. So it means that any errors that come out, pertaining to ownership of this land, is solely on the government. So let's say you bought a property and you relied on a search from a search result gotten from the lands registry. So it means that you are absolved from any consequences that might come out of that irregularity. There's also an official search in which you give your advocate a brief to go and conduct the search at the registry, but note that this does not have a guarantee from the lands registry. Afterwards, you can also go and find out the physical condition of the property by carrying out an investigation, just going to visit the land itself and seeing what is on the land, who occupies the land, are there any fixtures, trying and just seeing nini iko kwa hii shamba before actually buying it. Note that it is very important for you to do a search and also go and visit the property physically, because at the end of it all, if you buy it and you didn't carry out any of this, you can't blame anyone. It's solely on you as a purchaser because you did not carry out due diligence. So yeah.
And also maybe to add on the part of the search, as you're doing the search for the land, can you also get to know the person that is selling for you the property? There are people and other organizations that are of questionable character, You can, if you really feel like you need to investigate on this person more, you can try to fish out information about this person, maybe get their ID, go with it to the registrar of persons, just go and see what kind of person this is. Squeeze, we have mtandao, angalia kwa mtandao. Does this person exist? He tells you he works at a certain company. Just enda chini chini, angalia, because sometimes people are con people out here. And sometimes if it's in the case of an organization, look at the track record for that organization. Some just come pop up 1 year later. They've closed down, they've gone with your money, with your titles, and the land that they sold to you was not even existent. So unabaki hapo, unalia and saying that kununua shamba in Kenya is a big deal. But at Optiven, we make all these things legit for you, because indeed we are a legit company and we have been in existence for slightly over 22 years. Catch up on that.
Ethan has actually mentioned something that has reminded me. I know we have talked about searches at the land registry, but as you were talking about companies, I also remember that you need to carry out searches at the company's registry. Find out whether this company actually exists, find out the solvency state of this company. You also need to do searches at the local authority, just to find out, have all the rates been paid. You also need to find out, do we have any litigation affecting this particular property? Because you see, it beats logic for someone to sell to you a property which has a pending court case, which will probably take 20 years to solve. So whatever you wanted to do with the land is not effective anymore. And also, after doing the searches, there is also another part of due diligence that you need to carry out, and this is called requisitions. I know someone is wondering what requisitions are. So requisitions are basically forthright questions after having taken a look at the title documents. So when you look at the title of a particular property, there are certain things that you can see on the face of it. For instance, on the second page of the title or the third, we have listed encumbrances. Encumbrances are just burdens that are on the land. Perhaps this property has been used to acquire a loan from a bank, etc., etc. And these requisitions, if you look at the title and you have any questions, you need to bring them up within a period of 14 days. This is essential because after you have gone through the entire process and signed the contract, the law will not allow you to come back and now start saying that, oh, I looked at this title and it doesn't look like a legitimate title. So essentially, the law does not give you a second bite at the cherry. And so I think you'll agree with me that we have adequately tackled searches, and so we can move to the next stage of land acquisition in Kenya. And that entails contracts, the agreement of sale, and the letter of offer.
Thank you. And just before we get to that part, on searches, I know we need to be taking a lot of time on searches.
But it's important. It's important.
Fundamental
Yes.
So searches should be done in a holistic way. In that you do the informal and the formal search. Because these days we have organizations where just a formal search is not enough to establish whether this property belongs to the purported vendor.
Interesting.
So, go to the property, make your requisitions, make sure that this property from wazee wa kijiji, ask them, is there any conflict? Is there any succession matter that is ongoing? Make sure that the vendor is the actual vendor from the people who surround us, the environment, the neighbors. So it's very important to make such requisitions before you embark on the formal search.
Or sometimes even, like you're saying, there's an incident way back whereby someone was buying land that was actually legit. Yes, the title is legit, but that title was passed down to these children from their father. And of course, some children were not in agreement that this land should be sold, you know. And so some of these things bring a family feud, and later on you end up getting land that has got so much stories onto it, you know, and you don't even enjoy having this property of yours, you know. And sometimes it's even tribal, you know. There are people, like, there's some places you go and buy land and they tell you, well, in Mutwa Inje, you know, the land is there, the title is legit, but we would not want Mutwa Inje. So even if you end up buying this property, it is legit, your money has not gone to waste, but really, will you enjoy living in that place, you know? So just do your small searches, buy land in places that you're comfortable with, and of course, now you shall enjoy the rights to that land, even for your future generations.
To make sure that the land you buy can be used for what you intend to use. You can't buy a commercial property and expecting to be residential or a commercial or a quarry and expecting to put up flats. So you need to establish what you want to use to do with this land before you embark on the purchase. And from there you're able to proceed.
I think also the issue of adverse possession. Someone will sell to you land where we have settlers who've been on this land for 12 years. So you acquire the land and then suddenly someone has gone to court and they're like, I've been on this land for 12 years, so the land has automatically been transferred to me and you can't move me from this property. So you see, the vendor has sold to you the land, yeye amejitoa. You're left settling whatever disputes that exist on that particular property. So I think once we have settled all these issues, then we can go sit down and have the documents now. So when it comes to the contract stage of land acquisition, we start with the letter of offer. So the letter of offer is more or less similar to an agreement of sale, but it just highlights the essential points of this particular agreement. So it lists who the vendor is, and who the purchaser is, how much you're acquiring the property for, and what else is usually on the letter of offer? The description of the property, yes. So once you both sign the letter of offer, we move to the agreement for sale. So the agreement for sale is now the detailed document listing out everything pertaining to that particular agreement. So similar to the letter of offer, it also has a description of the parties, a description of the land, all other legal matters. For example, in Kenya, we have the law society conditions for sale. We have the the law of contract that requires certain things to be in each and every contract. We also, in the agreement of sale, we also have the mode of payment. We have dispute resolution mechanisms should a dispute arise in relation to this agreement. The agreement for sale will also tell you which law is applicable to this particular dispute. We know that in Kenya, foreigners cannot acquire freehold land, but we also have instances where foreigners have purchased leasehold property. So should a dispute arise in relation to this particular land, which law will be applicable? But obviously, this land having been in Kenya, most agreements for sale will tell you that the law applicable is the law of Kenya. Now, I know someone is wondering, we have two forms of contracts in Kenya. We have the oral contracts and the written contracts. But our law dictates that all agreements relating to purchase of land be in writing. Now, it is important to take note of that particular point, because if you do an agreement for sale in that is oral, you cannot enforce it later on. The law clearly states that unless it is written, you cannot bring a suit against this particular agreement for sale. Yes, it's very true. Yes, you don't have any backing, so you can't prove anything. So it's just essential to make sure that you have a written document, as we do here at Optiven, signed by both parties, witnessed by advocates. Yes.
Yeah, just don't forget to add that at Optiven, we have provision for services, just in case you do not have an advocate out there, and maybe if you have and they're charging you an arm and a leg. I mean, you can see here we have a very able team. Just come here, we shall execute for you and attest for you these documents at very reasonable prices, and we even have a leeway to give you a discount, you know. And sometimes you have our clients who are buying properties in bulk, so you have like about 6 sale agreements to be executed. We do not count for you one per agreement. We just give you a blanket figure and tell you this is it, and you have a one-stop shop in us here, so kindly try to engage us for such services.
Yes.
And over about statutory requirements for agreements, we also have obligations that are spelled in the agreement. So you'll find actually I've interacted with quite a number of clients who ask dealt with Optiven before. Why do I need an agreement now? Whereas I want to sell the properties for you. But I tell them,
Tunarudi pale kwa kuruka Kiesu, Kiesu.
how sure are you will forward the completion documents?
Sure.
Give you the
Yes.
once you finish the purchase price. It's the agreement that gives us that obligation.
Yes.
Make sure that you have the title deed at the end of 12 months, at the end of 6 months, at the end of 3 months. So it helps you, it's friendly to both parties. You have the obligation as a purchaser to pay. And I have the obligation as Optiven to make sure that you get your title documents and everything that needs to complete this transaction. So it's not just a legal requirement, it's also a moral one.
Yes, very true. And also pertinent in the agreement for sale is the issue of force majeure. Now, I know we all don't understand that concept, but I'm speaking French. But essentially, force majeure refers to those instances where either party is unable to complete the transaction because of circumstances beyond their control. I mean, 2 years ago, we had COVID hit. Now we have the war in Russia and Ukraine. So you see, these are anything can happen. But you see, for instance, in our agreements for sale, we have a guarantee for you that in the case we are not able to to carry out our obligations to the end, we have certain remedies for you. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've all agreed that a sale agreement is very important,
Fundamental.
and a crucial part of the sale transaction. Right?
Yes.
You've forgotten to say something, huh? When you are buying property, you need to put down a small deposit. In as much as the documentation process is going on, put down a small deposit. This deposit is not only just like statutory requirements, but it also shows the vendor, the person who's selling to you the land, that indeed he was serious, because umewekelea kakitu kidogo, you know, money is not easy to come by. So even if you put down something like 10,000, 20,000 or whatever percentage you'd be asked to put down by your specific vendor, then it is important that you do so as they do the rest of the documentation. Then once you are ready and satisfied with the rest of the documents you've been given, ultimately the sale agreement, and you have executed, then now you are at liberty to continue and pay the balance of the purchase price depending on the plan that you have been given. At Optiven, we are flexible enough. We have projects where you are required to pay within 30 days. We have projects where you are required to pay within 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. But we also do not stop you from making a whole bulk payment as long as you are ready and willing to do so. So when you invest with Optiven, we give you the choice and advantage of flexibility in your payment terms. But once you have executed the sale of the agreement for sale, then now it becomes your obligation to complete the purchase by, of course, paying the full purchase price.
Okay.
Another thing before we finish this section on sale agreements, it is important to note that as a parent, you might be wanting to buy, a piece of land for your child. So it's not legally, a child is, incapable of, contracting because of their age. However, there's a special way that the sale agreement can be
Phrased, huh?
phrased to include to state that you are the contracting party. However, you are representing
or you're purchasing
minor
on behalf
of the minor.
Yes. So now we have done the search and we have the documentation ready, and assuming in the background the purchase price has either been paid or is in the process of being paid. But let us assume at this point is the purchase price has been paid in full, because even as at Optiven, when we are giving you the payment plans, the flexible payment plans, nothing moves to the next stage until we have completed the payment. So if you took 6 months payment plan, then for those 6 months, we'll just be dormant waiting for you to continue paying. You have your documentation, we're just receiving your installments per month. And then once you have made the final installment, what comes next?
Now we go to registration,
Aha.
which we also call completion. Now this is the sweetest part. Of the
I know, yes.
This is what you're anticipating for.
Yes.
Now, once you pay the full purchase price, the vendor will give you, if you have an advocate, the vendor will give the completion documents. Now,
Yes.
what are completion documents?
We have the land rate clearance certificate. We have the land rate.
Wait,
No, I've just mentioned
nothing at the ultimate. The original
the original
deed.
title deed of the property. Yes, I think I've mentioned 3: the original title deed, the land rent, and the land rate.
Then you have the details for the vendor. If it is a company, they'll give you their KRA PIN, their company registration documents. If they are individuals, then they will give you, still in the company, besides the company documents, now they'll give you documents, personal documents of the directors to this company. You know, if there are 3 directors authorizing the transaction, then probably you'll get 3 documents for each director. That is an ID copy, a copy of KRA PIN, and 3 passport size photos for this particular transaction, and an executed transfer document. Remember, the transfer document is just a document, yes, like any other. But if the parties have not signed on this document, then that means someone is holding back the transaction. If the vendor is not signing this document for them to transfer the property to you, then there is no way the lands people are going to transfer this title to you. It's like when you're buying a car and you have to go to the Teams portal, now unajaza, and then now someone has to accept on the other side that indeed they're transferring. Now this acceptance in land is now what we are calling the transfer document. So any other document we have forgotten?
Consents. The land control board consent.
It's a property that, let's say it's agricultural property.
Yes.
It's a lease.
Yes.
It's a document.
Yes.
And on mortgage
Consent.
taxation, we also have the capital gains tax, if it is applicable, you know. Yes.
Valuation.
But recently there was an exemption from the Ministry of Lands where you don't require that
Capital gain tax.
Okay.
So you, as the purchaser, you can proceed with completion. Then later on, the vendor will pay the CGT.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
So that is part of ease of doing business.
All right.
It's also important to note that for CGT, any property that is below 3 million is exempt from paying payment of capital gains taxes.
Yes. So I think once we have the documents, the next step, there's the valuation and there's the stamp duty. So you need to get a valuer to go to the property and just do a report on after the valuation of the property. This is essential because I know as citizens we all pay tax, and the government is very keen on the payment of taxes. So
on the collection of taxes, not payment, on the collection. Yes.
On the collection of taxes. So essentially, the valuer goes to check whether the value that you had submitted for the property corresponds to what he or she has found out. And then we have the stamp duty. So stamp duty, you usually go to the lands registry. So you'll get an assessment, then you do the payment. Mostly the payment for stamp duty is done through Kenya Commercial Bank, National Bank, Cooperative Bank. So I think once we have all these documents, you now lodge them for registration at the Lands Ministry. So utabeba kila document that we have mentioned up to now. The title.
It makes the client think that they look like a finance minister.
No, actually,
with a briefcase.
good news for the client. If you choose to do the transfer with us, tutakufanyia hii kazi yote. You don't even have
go sit and relax.
Sit and relax.
You
wait for your title.
It's a one-stop shop for you. Yes.
Yeah, so I think you take these documents to the lands registry together with a booking form. So once you submit them, you will get one copy of the booking form. Utaenda nayo, utarudi collect your title, now transfer to your name. There is also fees that we pay, right?
Yes. For us, we have transfer costs that we advise for each transaction.
Per project?
Yes, per project. For each project, for each plot. So reach out to us when you're done purchasing the product, then we'll advise on the closing cost. Now, this closing cost is inclusive of transfer fee,
stamp duty,
inclusive of transfer duty, stamp duty, sorry. So you don't have to pay any other amount. Once you've paid the closing cost, you're set.
Watu wa mkono wako hapa. We shall do it for you, don't worry. Yes.
So we lodge this. Once we have all the completion documents, we go to the relevant district lands registry. We lodge it. Then we have an application form in the form of LRA 9. I want to get into that because it's a whole discussion. We lodge that. Then we wait for the registrar to now give us the title. Now, there's a very important part. And most conveyances don't do this, but we make sure this is done.
What is it?
First registration.
Bas.
Yes.
We don't do post-registration.
Washira will lodge in the documents and then they come out in the name of Nafula Masinde. No.
Yes.
Now, how sure are you that this property has been successfully transferred to you?
True.
It's through a post-registration.
Yes.
So you would conduct a search, another, just like the one you did at the initial point of the transaction, you conduct a search and make sure that this property is transferred to you without any encumbrance.
Yes.
Because sometimes, let me take you back to the contractual part, where you have a transaction where the title deed is encumbered, as let's say a charge for a certain amount. Once you do this search, you see this encumbrance and you're asking the vendor, how is this happening or what happens here? You have vendors probably doing discharge of charges before even transfer is done, so that by the time the title is coming to you, it's free of any charge. You're getting a clean title, rates have been paid for, it's lease, rent has been paid for, so you're getting a clean title, free of any encumbrance. So this post-registration search is supposed to make sure that whatever was undertaken in the sale agreement reflects what you have. So that's the end of the transaction.
Maybe what you can tell the viewers, Ian, is what are the charges to do this search? You know, probably you think it's an arm and a leg kind of cost, you know.
These days, there was now a subsequent directive from the Ministry of Lands. It's free.
Okay.
Nice.
So
Very nice.
You just need your forms in, I think it's LRA 84. Then at the back of it is LRA 85. Then you need your KRA pin. You fill in the form with the details, your name, your KRA details. Then you indicate why you conducted this search. You attach, you present it to the relevant district registry, then you have research. That's for freehold titles. With this, we have Avisasa platform. It's still being rolled out. So with this platform, there's a certain amount that you need to pay, around 500. Then you get your search.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
So as we started the show, I remember I mentioned that this is a happy new month. Happy new month to everyone. We have joined the month of July 2022. And of course, at Optiven, we always have something for everyone. Today is a very special day at Optiven because we have launched one of our projects, our baby projects in our portfolio, and it is called Malindi Phase 3. You as our watchers, as our viewers out there, I know you heard of Malindi Phase 1, which ikaisha yote. Malindi Phase 2, ndio imeisha yote. Now we have Malindi Phase 3, and there is something very unique about this particular property. We're used to selling you properties in 8s, 50 by 100, but this time we are going big as Optiven, and we have this project that is going for quarter an acre, 100 by 100. Pap, na bei yake toll ni ngapi?
149,000 Kenyan shillings.
Only
149.
Can you imagine? You're out there languishing with those Italians in Malindi, here, there. Enda Malindi, the real thing, Flavio Briatore is there. Naomi Campbell comes from holiday there. Kona quota yako clean pale Malindi. And there are very, very unique things about this particular land.
And the project is just 45 minutes from Malindi town.
Hapo tu.
This is just 45 minutes.
Hapa Nairobi unakaa kwa traffic 45 minutes na hujasonga GP hujasonga 45 minutes. And you know Optiven takes you to Malindi?
Yes.
Na tuendi na SGR by the way.
Ndege.
We are taking a flight to Malindi. Jumbo jet, clean. Na ukifika Malindi, what is waiting for you?
We are giving you a very nice tour of Malindi.
Kwanza tunakuchukua airport. Tunakupeleka
in an air conditioned bus. Mention air conditioned. This is the course we're talking about. Air conditioned bus. Alafu unapeleka watu.
Tunakupeleka. Tukimaliza, we are taking you out for lunch. Lunch, my people. Lunch.
That is very important.
And of course, after the lunch, of course, you have a return flight back, a return ticket back to Nairobi. And we expect that you shall put down your deposit. Hii ni project inaenda moto. Usilale mahali. 149K. Ukakae karibu na Flavio Briatore, mkue majirani. I am a friend. Pick up on this project, run with it.
We did mention the tour.
Kabla urudi Nairobi. Before you get back to Nairobi, we take you around. We have a Skoda Gama
pila. Hata uone maji.
Ona maji. There's a nice jetty at the beach. When the one day,
and after all those goodies, Optiven is still giving you one more goodie. Once you deposit that 149,000, we give you a cashback of 3,000 shillings. So if you're buying 2 plots, you pay 149 for each, and then we give you back 6,000 because it is each plot we give you back a cashback of 3,000 shillings. For every deposit of 149,000, we give you a cashback for 3,000 shillings, and this is across all our projects for the month of July because this is via our campaign that is dubbed Shika Ploti na Optiven. Shika Ploti, take care. Shika Ploti. That is the name of our campaign that is running from 1st of July to 31st of July. So please, even if you're not interested in Malindi, we have a myriad of projects with us. The same policy of 149,000, 3,000 cashback applies across all our projects. And we have come to the end of this discussion, and therefore I shall ask Masinde to close for us this discussion.
Wacha kwanza nicheke. Our CEO says, wacha kwanza nicheke. And it's a new month. I have had so much good news from this show. So the best I can do, at least the most I can do, is have a good laugh.
Yeah.
So our dear viewers, thank you very much for being an amazing audience. For more information, kindly contact us on 0790 300 300 or through our website www.optiven.co.ke. See you again next time.
Bye-bye. Ciao.
Optiven, inspiring possibility.